To think a human could wield the elements without a vision, and not to mention your incredibly complex scent, like that of some mysterious being.
Hey, stop evaluating us based on our smell! It's weird!
The traveler's identity has always been a mystery to both us and the people around them. As far as they're concerned, the traveler is just a powerful person capable of fighting powerful things. They can wield the elements without a vision, and what they did around Teyvat is public information. But there's a hidden layer to the traveler's identity that we as players have barely scratched the surface of. Their identity as an extraterrestrial entity capable of navigating the Celestial Atlas. So today, I want to ask an important question. Who knows about the traveler's hidden identity? Now, this isn't actually a theory, I just personally am curious. But before I begin, I want to contextualize what I'll define as the traveler's quote-unquote secret identity. The traveler isn't really stingy when it comes to giving information out about their present self. We know that they do talk to other characters about their experiences, but are able to keep a secret if they have to. But the traveler refrains from speaking about their past with others unless absolutely necessary. The name that we have for them at the moment isn't even their real name.
You are different from all the others. Are you human?
Well, he is, obviously. Just not a native of Watatsumi Island, that's all.
Teyvat's day and night both seem particularly short. The skies here are full of stars, but they aren't the same as the ones seen from my home. I wonder if the fates of people from Teyvat are also related to their constellations.
Oh? Do you know how to read the stars too? That's amazing! Not a lot of people outside Sumeru can do it. Paimon's curious. Come on, do a reading for me, quick!
The night sky pictured on Paimon's cape flows with the light of many stars, and also of the deep ocean. The movement of these stars tells me that in, say, 7 days from now...
In 7 days what?
Something good or something bad might occur.
Are you ready? Don't shame your master now. We're about to meet that successor.
Though, when they're asked about their origin, they usually aren't the ones that open it up. Their existence as an alien is instead based on the other character's knowledge. When this happens, the traveler doesn't really mind other people knowing. They just don't go out of their way to tell a person they're not from Teyvat in the first place. There are exceptions to this, such as with Paimon, who he confided about the unknown god, Khaenriah, and his longevity in this world. Another good example of this is Zhongli, who he had to confide with given the traveler needed information about his sister. So we know that each character has various levels of knowledge about the traveler's more divine endeavors. So let's begin. I'll only be going over the ones that have concrete allusions or hints, and I won't theorize about the future. I also will consider the traveler's dialogue to other characters as the only shared dialogue between them for now, given that if we hint that they have a conversation off-screen, the contents of that exchange are virtually impossible to delineate. But it is still safe to assume X character knows about the traveler's mysterious nature, just that they haven't said anything about it. First are the easier ones. Venti and Zhongli have already hinted in knowing that the traveler is a powerful creature beyond the limitations of Teyvat. Both are aware that the traveler is an interstellar being, given that they are Archons who have a knack for sensing the divine. With Venti, it's actually more difficult to discern what he does know, but we can put in the basics. Paimon tells Venti about the traveler's history as an interstellar being.
Paimon will fill you in on her background story when we get the time.
This extends further to their last exchange where Venti is aware the traveler is looking for a god, though the traveler doesn't seem to know that the sustainer isn't among the 7 since they tell Venti they're looking for an Archon, and Venti has opened up about Celestia to the traveler a lot.
But as for which of the 7 took your sister, I'm sorry, I don't know. Wait, as one of the 7, I'm not clear of suspicion yet either, am I?
However, it's unknown whether Venti knows that the traveler knows about Khaenriah. I'm making this video before the Irodori festival, so I'm assuming we will have to ask Venti if he's sober enough. But my guess is that he already has an idea of the traveler's potential descent from glory. Venti's memory has been known to be very astute, especially with his willingness to weave people's identities into songs. If by chance he ever saw the blonde travelers in the fight against Khaenriah, he would surely have memory of it.
That was a refreshing sleep. Traveler, we meet again! What? You don't remember me? Well, allow me to join you on your quest once again. I must see to it that the bards of the world tell the traveler's tales.
Though to counter this argument, we had to tell Zhongli that we knew about Khaenriah in the first place, so I doubt Venti would have any reason to suspect that the traveler was from an age that far back unless he has other connections, like if he had connections with the god of time's magic to see who the traveler used to be before Mondstadt's Archon Quest. But, I mean, even if he doesn't know at the moment, he will certainly know in the future when the traveler asks information from him. Venti is deliberately being delayed from giving information because unlike Zhongli, who gets to use the contract ideal, Venti's advocacy for freedom will be tested if he's not allowed to divulge information about Khaenriah.
Though I've long since viewed this scenery a great many times, there is something different about seeing it again with you. Surely you're not still concealing some other wondrous abilities. Even if you were, it would simply further prove that my intuition is correct.
Zhongli is an interesting notion here. Zhongli's knowledge of the traveler's history is easier to discern than Venti given that he tells us what he knows.
I need to find a better way of recording history in order to engrave its truth. Stone carvings were one such ancient method, but unchanging stone, immovable earth, even one such as myself. Someday we may all disappear. Therefore, I thought of you, traveler. You are one who crosses the celestial atlas, and who passes through countless worlds. If our history is engraved in your memory, it will one day accompany you into another world. As long as a traveler like you is able to record what happened, then a backup of sorts will exist for times and tides of Teyvat.
And when confronted with the Khaenriah situation, we are met with this dialogue.
So, not long ago, we met a guy called Dane. He told us about Khaenriah and the punishment of the gods. That's when we realized that those events were connected to the person we're searching for. Zhongli, you're a god. You've lived through thousands of years of history. Surely you experienced the incident?
I cannot say.
Why? You can't even give us a thread of information? This is so important to us.
Moving on to A and the Raiden Shogun. I'll consider that if the Raiden Shogun knows something, A also knows. The Raiden Shogun inquired the traveler about their ability to manipulate more than one element. Plus, she knows that the traveler doesn't need multiple visions. At the very least, they are aware that the traveler is an exception to the rules of Teyvat, properly discerning their most likely aliens.
No, I have nothing to share with you at this time. But you use elemental energy without the aid of a vision. How is this possible? Please enlighten me.
A's perception of the traveler's humanity, though, is quite fascinating.
My period of solitude will now continue, but it will not last too much longer. I will leave you humans to deal with any minor issues in the meantime. Do you wish to know the truth about the shooting stars at night? They are but fleeting moments of luminosity. You used to be one of them? Oh, are you a Tengu warrior?
As for their connections with Khaenriah, A, amongst the three Archons, would know the least about the traveler. She knew significantly less than Khaenriah given that she wasn't there, but I'm sure that based on the traveler revealing their siblings' past, A can make educated guesses. But even then, it was never truly confirmed that she knows the traveler themselves were from that specific point from history 500 years ago.
Sister? I had heard that you were looking for your family. You mean to say that she was somehow involved in the Khaenriah disaster?
Based on what we've learned so far, it seems so, yeah.
I'm sorry. I wasn't there for the whole thing. By the time I arrived, the worst of the fighting was already over. So, I am afraid I can't help you.
Now we move on to another category of important characters for the long con. The Harbingers knowing the Traveler's power sets and their past will be an ultimate endgame given that we still have the other 7 to meet. Logically speaking, it would be a political injustice not to know who the Traveler is, or probe at least to their past, given that the Traveler is public enemy number 1 in Snezhnaya for not only foiling their plans at least twice, but also aiding in the death of the 8th Harbinger. So first, let's begin with the Harbingers we have met and see if they know who the Traveler is. In 2.1, regardless of whether the Traveler met Scaramouche, Scaramouche hints that he has access to the information other Fatui members know, more specifically with the Traveler's achievements with Storm Terror and Liyue. It's also not impossible to think that the Fatui members under him would report about the Traveler's ability to control multiple elements. It's possible he knows just as much as Senora, which frankly isn't a lot.
I'm the Balladeer, number 6 of the Fatui Harbingers. Delighted to meet you, oh mighty Traveler. I'm obviously not the mastermind behind this. Aren't you supposed to be pretty tough? What are you waiting for? Go get them.
So strong! But how?
I also heavily doubt that they have any idea who the Traveler is as a divine being connected to the stars.
The stars, the sky, it's all a gigantic hoax. A lie. Oh, you are so naive it kills me. Still, can't really blame you. After all, I used to believe the same thing myself. Up until a few moments ago, that is.
Now we contrast this with Tartaglia's knowledge of the Traveler's divine power and capabilities. Tartaglia knows they're able to use more than one element, but Tartaglia also hints he understands they're more than what they seem. After all, Tartaglia is a travel companion, and at the very least, he had to fight the Traveler head-on and live.
You wield such powers without owning a vision. I really am excited to see what you have in store for us. Let's see how far you can go. Just don't go dying on me before you lay it all on the line in our final battle. I won't allow it. Comrade, how would you like to join the Fatui? Actually, scrap that. With your capabilities, you and I could go head-to-head with the Harbingers and win. Wouldn't want to miss an opportunity like that. I wish I could stay here a while longer. The more time you spend somewhere, the more joy it brings you when you return. You're like the stars in the night sky, comrade. You never cease to surprise me.
Now let's break down the other characters who have discerned the Traveler's hidden identity based on their own skills. Again, I'm only counting characters that have an idea based on their voice lines, given it's impossible to theorize who knows if we don't have concrete evidence. So unfortunately, I can't really say that DILUC might know given he has connections to an underground network or etc. There's no way for me to know if DILUC knows about the Khaenriah situation with the Traveler. So let's go.
I'll skip to the conclusion. There's only one possibility after all. You came from afar. From another world, correct? However, I have a particular seed in my possession. The method I'm talking about has produced no results. It's like you, in that it hails from another world. Helping it to grow, to bloom. That's the problem my research is up against. That's where I need your assistance.
As for his knowledge of the Traveler being from Khaenriah, I don't think he knows. But they did have a conversation with Albedo's connections with Khaenriah.
When you say Khaenriah, do you mean...
I am indeed somewhat older than my appearance might suggest. But when I came into being, Khaenriah had already been destroyed. I have no memories of it.
Other mortal characters have also discerned the Traveler's origins as an interstellar creature.
Paimon? What a fascinating being. You two give off not only the essence of wind and earth, but also of... yes, the stars. Now that we're alone, let me cut to the heart of the matter. You are skilled in manipulating the elements, and not just a single element, but multiple. Is that correct?
Paimon knew that you were hinting at something from the moment we met. You've known all along.
That's right. If the other contenders were to catch wind of your elemental abilities, let's just say it would cause some unwanted misunderstandings. Could you perchance enlighten me as to how you managed to obtain your combined elemental abilities?
As you are not from this world, I am unable to give you a prediction. All I can tell you is that your journey is far from over.
Visions? They're a necessary device in controlling the elements, with you being the sole exception, of course. As for why that is, perhaps we can find the time to experiment a little.
You and I are both travelers from another world. That our paths have crossed here is no accident, but the will of fate.
Other characters have vaguer ideas, and while they don't mention they know the traveler's divinity, they do separate the traveler's existence from humanity.
Don't you realize how special you are? Remember, the plane of Euthymia is a space where only she is allowed to exist. The fact that you could appear there tells us one crucial thing, that you have piqued her interest. Perhaps it's because she has never seen an individual who is so unpredictable in the face of eternity.
Miko hints that she understands the traveler is beyond humanity, referring to humanity as a separate entity when she speaks with the traveler.
Humans are just fascinating creatures. That's why I'm so fond of them. They live such short lives, but for the time they're around, they shine as bright as the midday sun. There are some whose light never grows dim, even over great stretches of time. These are the lives that make for real page-turners. Your existence is more than just an opportunity. It's the very key to all of this. To that I say, well done, child. You did not disappoint me after all.
Have you ever seen the Owl of Dragon Spine? If you look directly at it, it seems to see right through you, while letting go of none of its own secrets. Quite fascinating, don't you think? Khaenriah, huh? You sure know a lot. The legacy of Khaenriah is long gone. The sinners are all that's left, and they're not worth mentioning.
I want to understand more about humans, and I especially wish to hear what you think of them. Why, you ask? Because you're a bit different from most people in Teyvat, just as I am. Please tell me what you think.
And then we have characters like Xiao, who refers to the traveler as mortal, which isn't completely wrong either. We are personally unsure if the traveler is immortal or mortal just because they're different.
Hiding. I'm hiding nothing. I just won't speak of desire to others. Do you mortals not have a rule about spoken wishes never coming true? What do you mean that's not the same?
Xiao also is a recipient of the effects of the traveler's purification ability, but he doesn't really know if it's inherently caused by them.
Are you asking about the effects of my karmic debt? It's much easier to bear than before.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I most likely missed some dialogue from somewhere because there is just so much, so feel free to put it in the comments. But what's the point of all of this? Well, I think it's crucial to put into perspective how secretive the traveler is. Again, they hardly share information about themselves unless absolutely necessary. They don't share their age and have hidden their name from everyone but Paimon. It's fascinating that we as the player hardly know anything about the traveler as well. Their character stories, instead of being memories of the past like the other characters, are mementos of the present, meaning we have little to no current information about who they were. This mortal form of theirs could easily not be their real form. They could be a celestial, Bible-accurate seraph for all we know. But another thing that I want to point out is the direct contrast of their interactions with other characters as opposed to with Paimon. After hearing that the playable characters know almost nothing about the traveler, it makes their friendship with Paimon all the more special to them. Paimon is the only real creature that they can confide their real thoughts to. Everyone else, from their perspective, won't really understand, because they don't know them like Paimon does. It's heartwarming that the traveler trusts Paimon this much, from their adventures in Khaenriah to them confiding in each other to them having secrets of their own. But nevertheless, my name is Aster, and thank you for chilling with me.